Hello and welcome to this lecture on Introduction to Biology, where we shall be discussing the definition of biology, the fundamental aspects of biology, the characteristics that define life, that is, the characteristics of living organisms, and the scientific method used in biological research. Biology is the scientific study of living organisms, their interactions with one another, as well as their interaction with the environment. Biology encompasses a wide range of sub-disciplines, each focusing on different aspects of life. For this lecture, we are going to be looking at 7 sub-disciplines of biology. And the first is cellular biology. In cellular biology or cell biology, we study the cell structure and functions, and it revolves around the concept that the cell is the fundamental unit of life. We also have molecular biology, where we study the structure and function of biological molecules, also called biomolecules. These biomolecules are organic molecules which are the unique constituents of living cells and are important for their survival. They include carbohydrates, protein, lipids, and nucleic acid. Another sub-discipline is genetics. And genetics is the branch of biology that is focused on the study of genes, hereditary, and the variation of inherited characteristics among organisms. The fourth sub-discipline is ecology, where we study the interactions between organisms and their environments. An organism's environment is made up of the living, that is the biotic, or non-living, that is the abiotic components of its surroundings. Now, the fifth sub-discipline we shall be discussing is evolutionary biology. In evolutionary biology, we explore the processes of change in organisms over time, which has led to the current biodiversity of organisms on our planet. The sixth sub-discipline is physiology, which is a branch of biology that is concerned with the study of the function of organs and organ systems, as well as how they work within the body to respond to challenges. An organ is a collection of different tissues performing the same function. For instance, the eye is an organ, the nose is an organ, the ears are organs. And of course, when 2 or more organs performing the same functions come together, they make up what we call a system, such as the digestive system, the respiratory system, the circulatory system, etc. The seventh sub-discipline is microbiology, where we study microorganisms. Microorganisms are tiny little things that cannot be seen with the naked eye unless with the aid of a microscope, meaning that without a microscope, you cannot see microorganisms. And examples of microorganisms include bacteria, viruses, and fungi. Some of these microorganisms are beneficial, while others are harmful. Harmful in the sense that many of them act as parasites and pathogens, thereby causing harm to the body of their hosts. Characteristics of life. To determine whether something is considered living, biologists use a set of characteristics to define life. These characteristics include 1. Cellular organization. All living things are composed of one or more cells, which serve as the basic unit of life. Cells in organism can be unicellular, that is, single, or multicellular, that is, many cells. So organisms can either be single-celled, that is, unicellular, or have multiple cells, that is, multicellular. The second characteristic is metabolism. Living organisms undergo chemical processes that allow them to convert energy and matter from their environment into forms they can use for growth, reproduction, and maintenance. Metabolism encompasses both anabolism, that is, building up, and catabolism, that is, breaking down. The third characteristic is homeostasis. To survive, organisms must maintain a stable internal environment even when external conditions changes. This process, whereby an organism tries to maintain a balanced internal condition notwithstanding external conditions, is known as homeostasis. This process is vital for regulating body temperature, pH, that is the degree of acidity and alkalinity of the body, hydration, and other physiological factors. Another characteristics that define life is growth and development. Living organisms undergo a series of changes throughout their life cycle. They grow and develop according to specific genetic instructions, resulting in changes in form and function. We also have reproduction. Life perpetuates itself through reproduction, which can be sexual or asexual. Sexual means that the reproduction involves two parents, that is, the male and the female, while the asexual means that the reproduction involves just one single parent. And this form of asexual reproduction is commonly found in hermaphrodites. Reproduction enables the passing of genetic information from one generation to another. The sixth characteristics is irritability or the response to stimuli. All living organisms can respond to environmental stimuli such as light, temperature, and sound. This responsiveness is crucial for survival, allowing organisms to adapt to changing conditions. The seventh and final characteristic is adaptation. And adaptation happens only through evolution. Over generations, population of organisms can evolve through adaptations that enhances their survival and reproductive success in their environments. This process is driven by natural selection and genetic variation. The scientific method of biological research is a systematic approach used by biologists and other scientists to investigate phenomena, acquire new knowledge, or correct and integrate previous knowledge. This method comprises of 7 key steps. That is, from the observation to the questioning, to the hypothesis, to the experimentation, to the analysis, to the conclusion, and then communication. I'm going to explain these steps one after the other, giving examples. Now, the first one is observation. The process of biological research always begins with observation. Now, take for instance, let's use twins, identical twins as example. We all know that in as much as twins can be identical, there is bound to be some differences. Some could be minor differences, some could be major differences. But for the case of this lecture, we are going to use height differences amongst twins. Yes, of course, we have twins with varying heights. There are twins that have different heights and there are twins that have the same heights. Now, as biologists, we can make these observations that yes, twins have different heights, twins have the same height, despite coming from the same parents. That is an observation. It is legit. After making such observations, the next thing we will do as biologists is to ask the questions, why? We need to know why is it that this particular set of twins have different heights and this particular set of twins have the same height. It didn't happen by chance. It didn't happen by mistake. It happened for a reason. And our job as biologists, as scientists, is to not only formulate the reason, but to experiment and conclude on why such things are happening the way they are. The question now is why. After the question, you will still answer your questions as biologists because you are asking yourself, is more like a rhetorical question. It's a rhetoric. Why is this thing like this? You will now start looking left and right, trying to know why it's like that. On the long run, you now begin to formulate hypotheses because when you look at the twins, you will now look at the parents. The twins with different heights, look at the parents. The twins with the same height, look at the parents. From the observations you will make there, you can now begin to formulate hypotheses. Your hypothesis could be that twins with different heights have parents with different heights. It is a valid hypothesis. Twins with the same height have parents with the same height. It is also a valid hypothesis. You won't end them. You won't carry your hypothesis and begin to communicate it as a law. No, such cannot be generally accepted. The next thing you need to do, which is the fourth step, is the experimentation. You need to experiment on your hypothesis. You already have two different specimens. Specimen of a twin with varying heights and specimen of a twin with equal heights. At this point, you need to gather different other specimens, different other data of different twins with this phenomena that you have observed. You begin to identify twins of different heights, look at their parents, and now see whether your hypothesis is generally accepted or generally acceptable, as the case may be. If, for instance, you notice that, okay, at the end of the day, all these twins, you begin to analyze, that's already the fifth step. You're already in the fifth step. These twins that I'm seeing that have varying heights, I have come to realize that their parents also have varying heights. That is your analysis. The twins that I have seen that have the same height, I have analyzed and found out that their parents also have the same height. This is not just for one twin, it's not for two twins, it's for a given set of twins, a large number. That is why you will have your data. Now, after this analysis, you will now conclude that yes, after my observation, after my questioning, after my hypothesis, after my experimentation, after my analysis, I'm now concluding that yes, the reason why twins have varying heights is because their parents have varying heights as well. And the reason why twins have the same heights is because their parents have the same heights as well. Now, this is my own conclusion, and this conclusion is as a result of the many data that I have considered and I have experimented on. Then I can now communicate my findings to researchers. After communicating it to researchers, of course, there is going to be what? Crucial advancement for the knowledge, and there will be further research. There is going to be further research. Everybody will sit down, all scientists will sit down and say, okay, this is what this person has presented to us as his own conclusion. Now, let us on our own go and work on this conclusion and see if there is anything that is of doubt to whatever conclusion has been brought before them. So the scientists, the body of scientists, will definitely carry out further research, and after which, if there is no doubt, whatsoever conclusion you have can be proven beyond any reasonable doubt, then you are going to have a law. And the law is generally accepted without doubt. So that is the steps of biological research or scientific research, as the case may be. Biology is a dynamic and multifaceted field that seeks to understand the fundamental principles of life by exploring the characteristics that define life and employing the scientific method. Biologists contribute to our comprehension of the intricate web of life on our planets. As our understanding of biology continues to expand, it has numerous practical applications in medicine, agriculture, conservation, biotechnology, and the environment, ultimately enhancing our quality of life and the sustainability of our system. In our next class, we shall be discussing the topic of the cell. Of course, I have mentioned here that the cell is the basic unit of life. So in our next class, we are now going to look at what this basic unit of life is. Is there any difference between the cells of different organisms? Is there also any similarity or similarities between the cells of different organisms? We are going to be analyzing and discussing all of this in my next class. So stay tuned, subscribe, and turn on your notification button. for regular updates. Thank you and have a nice day.